Imagine a world where Nazi troops marched through London. This nearly became reality in 1940. We'll explore the chain of events that prevented this alternate history from unfolding. In the summer of 1940, Nazi Germany stood at the height of its power. With much of Europe under its control, Britain remained the last major obstacle to Hitler's dominance in Western Europe. Had Germany successfully invaded Britain, the course of World War II would have been dramatically altered, potentially changing the outcome of the entire conflict. In this video, we'll uncover how Britain narrowly escaped this dire fate. From military strategies to political choices, each element played a crucial role in shaping history as we know it today. In the spring of 1940, Nazi Germany's military power seemed unstoppable. The Wehrmacht had swiftly conquered much of Western Europe, leaving France as the last major power standing between Hitler and total control of the continent. The German invasion of France, launched on May 10, 1940, was a showcase of the blitzkrieg tactics that had brought Hitler such success. Within weeks, the German army had pushed Allied forces back to the English Channel, trapping them in a pocket around the French port of Dunkirk. Victory seemed assured, and Hitler stood on the brink of a triumph that would have dramatically altered the course of World War II. However, it was at this critical juncture that Hitler made a decision that would ultimately contribute to the preservation of Britain's independence. On May 24, 1940, Hitler issued what became known as the Halt Order. This command instructed German forces to stop their advance towards Dunkirk, where hundreds of thousands of Allied troops were cornered. The reasons behind this order have been debated by historians, with some attributing it to Hitler's concern about overstretched supply lines and others suggesting that he wanted to conserve resources for a future conflict with the Soviet Union. The consequences of this decision were immense. The Halt Order provided a narrow window of opportunity for the Allies to organize a massive evacuation effort known as Operation Dynamo. Over the course of 9 days, approximately 330,000 Allied troops were evacuated from the beaches of Dunkirk, using not only military vessels, but also thousands of civilian boats. The evacuation of Dunkirk was a pivotal moment in the war. While it was certainly a military defeat for the Allies, as they were forced to abandon large quantities of equipment and weapons, it was also a remarkable logistical achievement. More importantly, it had a profound impact on British morale. The miracle of Dunkirk, as it came to be known, demonstrated Britain's resilience and ability to snatch hope from the jaws of defeat. Winston Churchill's leadership during this crisis played a crucial role in maintaining British resolve. His stirring speeches in the aftermath of Dunkirk, including the famous "We shall fight on the beaches" address, galvanized public support and strengthened the nation's determination to resist Nazi aggression. The Halt Order and the subsequent evacuation at Dunkirk had lasting effects that would influence the course of the war. By allowing a significant portion of the British Expeditionary Force to escape, Hitler inadvertently preserved a core of experienced soldiers who would form the backbone of Britain's defense against potential invasion. These troops would also go on to play crucial roles in future campaigns, including the North African theater and the eventual liberation of Europe. Moreover, the events at Dunkirk exposed a fatal flaw in Hitler's strategic thinking. The rapid German victories in Europe had created a sense of overconfidence, leading to a miscalculation of Britain's resolve and capability to defend itself. This misjudgment would haunt Hitler's plans for invasion in the months to come. In the wake of Dunkirk, Hitler believed Britain was on its knees, and so the German High Command began formulating an ambitious plan to invade the British Isles. This plan, codenamed Operation Sea Lion, was initially scheduled for September 1940. Operation Sea Lion was a complex military operation that involved 3 critical components. First, the German Luftwaffe needed to achieve air superiority over the Royal Air Force, RAF. Second, the Kriegsmarine had to secure control of the English Channel. Finally, the Wehrmacht would execute amphibious assaults on British beaches. On paper, the plan seemed comprehensive, but in reality, it faced numerous challenges from the outset. One of the most significant hurdles was the lack of specialized landing craft. The German military, primarily focused on land-based warfare, had not invested in developing the necessary vessels for a large-scale amphibious invasion. Instead, they were forced to consider using improvised river barges for troop transport, a solution that was far from ideal for crossing the turbulent waters of the English Channel. The logistical challenges extended beyond transportation. The German supply lines were already stretched thin from their rapid advance across Europe. Maintaining a steady flow of resources across the Channel to support an invasion would have been a formidable task, especially in the face of potential British naval interference. The Royal Navy remained a formidable force that the Germans struggled to neutralize. The Kriegsmarine's inability to dominate the waters of the English Channel was a major risk for the invasion. Without control of these waters, any German invasion force would be vulnerable to attack from British warships, potentially cutting off their supply lines and escape routes. Adding to these challenges were the clashing strategies among the German High Command. General Franz Halder and Grand Admiral Erich Raeder held contrasting opinions on the approach to the invasion, creating complications in planning and implementation. These internal problems resulted in delays and uncertainty at a critical moment when direct action was essential. However, this was not the only problem. In the summer of 1940, the skies over Britain became the stage for a crucial aerial conflict that would determine the feasibility of a German invasion. The Luftwaffe, under the command of Hermann Göring, initially focused their attacks on RAF airfields and radar stations. This strategy aimed to cripple Britain's air defences, paving the way for Operation Sea Lion. The early stages of the battle saw intense aerial combat, with both sides suffering significant losses. The RAF was pushed to its limits, struggling to maintain operational capacity as their airfields came under constant attack. At this critical juncture, when British air defences seemed on the verge of collapse, a fateful decision changed the course of the battle. On September 7, 1940, the Luftwaffe mistakenly bombed London, violating Hitler's previous orders to avoid civilian targets. This error prompted a retaliatory British raid on Berlin, which in turn infuriated Hitler. In response, Göring shifted the focus of German attacks from military targets to civilian areas, marking the beginning of the Blitz. This strategic blunder proved to be a turning point in the Battle of Britain. The shift in German tactics inadvertently provided the RAF with a much-needed respite. As Luftwaffe bombers concentrated on London and other cities, the pressure on British airfields and radar stations eased. This crucial breathing space allowed the RAF to regroup, repair damaged infrastructure, and replenish their depleted squadrons. The consequences of Göring's decision were serious. The Blitz, while causing significant civilian casualties and damage to British cities, failed to break the morale of the British people. Instead, it strengthened their resolve to resist Nazi aggression. As the battle progressed, the limitations of the Luftwaffe became increasingly apparent. German fighters lacked the range to provide effective escort for their bombers over Britain, leaving them vulnerable to RAF interceptors. The Germans also underestimated the importance of Britain's radar network, which provided early warning of incoming raids and allowed for more efficient deployment of RAF fighters. As September 1940 approached, it became increasingly clear that the conditions for a successful invasion were not being met. The Luftwaffe failed to neutralize the RAF in the ongoing Battle of Britain, suffering significant losses in the process. The toll on both sides was heavy. By the end of the Battle of Britain, the RAF had lost approximately 1,600 aircraft and 2,600 crew. However, the Luftwaffe's losses were even more severe, with about 2,000 aircraft destroyed. These losses dealt a significant blow to German air power, severely impacting their ability to support a potential invasion force. Without control of the skies, any attempt to launch Operation Sea Lion would be extremely risky. The German naval forces, already at a disadvantage against the Royal Navy, would be vulnerable to attacks from the air. The Battle of Britain marked a crucial turning point in World War II. It represented the first major defeat of Nazi Germany and put an end to Hitler's hopes of forcing Britain to negotiate a peace settlement. The resilience of the RAF and the British people in the face of the Luftwaffe's onslaught proved that Nazi Germany was not invincible. Hitler's frustration with Göring's failure to secure air dominance over Britain contributed to a significant shift in Nazi military planning. As the chances for a successful invasion of Britain dimmed, Hitler began to turn his attention eastward towards the Soviet Union. The idea of conquering the Soviet Union, long a goal of Nazi ideology, now took precedence over the stalled campaign against Britain. The resources and manpower required for an invasion of Britain were increasingly seen as better utilized in preparation for an assault on the Soviet Union. On September 17, 1940, Hitler, in a meeting with Hermann Göring and Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, made the decision to postpone Operation Sea Lion indefinitely. The Luftwaffe still did not have supremacy in the skies, and effective coordination among three military branches was impossible. Consequently, later that day, Hitler ordered the operation's postponement and instructed the invasion fleet to be dispersed to minimize the risk of further damage from British air and naval assaults. This postponement marked the beginning of the end for Germany's plans to invade Britain. On September 23, 1941, Hitler instructed that all preparations for Operation Sea Lion be halted. However, it was not until 1942 that the final ships at Antwerp were returned to commercial use. The last documented order from Hitler regarding Sea Lion occurred on 24 January 1944, where he indicated the repurposing of equipment still held in reserve for the invasion and mentioned that a year's notice would be provided prior to its revival. The survival of Britain during the war was the result of a series of interconnected events and decisions. Hitler's halt order at Dunkirk allowed the evacuation of Allied troops, preserving a core of experienced soldiers for Britain's defense. The Luftwaffe's failure to achieve air superiority in the Battle of Britain, Hitler's strategic hesitations, logistical and naval challenges posed by the English Channel, and British intelligence efforts all played significant roles. Moreover, Hitler's shift in focus to the Soviet Union with Operation Barbarossa further reduced the chances of an invasion. Britain's ability to withstand the Nazi assault in 1940 became a turning point in the war that set the stage for Allied victory. By avoiding invasion, Great Britain remained a vital base for Allied operations in Europe and contributed significantly to the defeat of Nazi Germany. Well, that was it. Thank you for watching. We hope you found this video informative. If you enjoyed learning about today's topic, make sure to check out our video, Why Did Operation Market Garden Fail? It's a fascinating look into one of the largest airborne operations ever. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content. We'll see you in the next one.